Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Chronically Me podcast. I'm your host, Aimee Esther, and in today's episode, I'm sharing with you 3 things you need to stop doing if you live chronically ill. If you live chronically ill like me and are looking for more purpose, control, and joy in your life, then you are in the right place. This is the podcast that challenges your thinking around chronic illness so you can live the most amazing life despite extra challenges. Are you ready? Let's go. Hi, friend. Welcome back to the podcast. In today's episode, I want to share with you some things that I recommend you stop doing, especially if you live chronically ill, because these are the things that in my life have brought me down, have brought my clients down, and I've seen when my clients and myself stopped thinking this way, stopped doing this, it made such a huge difference on our lives. So I want to share all of that with you today. If you are listening to this, I would love for you to leave me a review on your favorite podcast app. That would be so helpful to the podcast. Or leave me a comment if you are watching this on YouTube. All right, let's dive into number 1. The first thing I recommend is that you stop comparing your life to someone who isn't chronically ill. It doesn't make any sense. Why do we do this? Why do our brains think this is such a good use of our time and our mental energy? How often do I look at, for me, other moms, and I'm like, these moms go out and do all this stuff with their kids, and they have more money to take their kids out because they don't have medical bills like I do, and they have more time and they have more energy, and they have all this stuff that I don't have because I'm chronically ill. Poor me. And it's like, okay, first of all, if I knew what was going on in their lives, I probably would want my life back. I cannot even tell you how many times I've got to know someone and found out some crazy hard stuff that they're going through. Every time I get to know someone well enough that I know their story and the hard things they've been through and are going through, it reminds me that, like, wait, everybody has problems. And if I wasn't chronically ill and living this life and living someone else's life, I would have different problems. But we compare ourselves to other people, which is never helpful, no matter what, whether you're chronically ill or not, it's just never helpful. But especially when we feel physical symptoms all the time and we don't have the energy to do the things that other people do. It feels like we're not measuring up and we're not doing enough and we should be doing more and we need to be like this person or that person, or we need to work as much as that person does, or we need to go out as much as that person's done. We need to travel as much as that person. No, we don't. We need to be who we are. We need to stop looking at other people and how they're living and how it's different from ours. Just like if I compare my life as a stay-at-home mom to a mom who is a working mom, it's not even comparable in a lot of ways. Like, yes, we can relate on things because we're both moms or we're both women or we're both married or whatever. We can relate on things, but what we can't relate on is our day-to-day lifestyle. Because I might be thinking, I'm just not doing enough for my kids. I should be working more. I should bring more money in for our family. I should contribute more to the world. I'm not doing enough by just being at home with my kids all day. And her kids go to daycare and they get this social life. I should be able to do that. I should be able to take my kids there. But then on the other hand, she's probably thinking the same thing about me, but opposite, right? Like, I'm not doing enough as a mom because I am working too much and I'm not home enough for my kids. I don't spend enough time with my kids, but she does. I wish I had that life and I didn't have to work, or I wish that I could feel content being a stay-at-home mom when I don't, and I feel better when I'm working. And is that selfish of me or whatever? Like, I've heard that before from my friends who work. And I'm sitting here looking at them like I'm doing it wrong. And she's sitting here looking at me like she's doing it wrong. And we're all doing that, right? But like, as you can see, it doesn't make sense for me to compare my life as a stay-at-home mom to someone who's a working mom. Just like it doesn't make sense for me to compare my life as a chronically ill mom or person or human or employee or friend or spouse or whatever you are, it doesn't make sense for you to compare yourself as a chronically ill person with a healthy person. Because one, I promise they have problems in their life, like we mentioned, but also because their life is completely different than ours, right? Like, we're on the couch a lot. We don't go out a lot. We don't travel a lot, maybe. I don't know what you do or what you can or can't do, but that's my story. And on that same note, it doesn't even help to compare your life to someone else who lives chronically ill, because we all live different lives. We all have different pain tolerances. We all have different fatigue tolerances. We all have different emotional tolerances. We all can do different things. Like, even someone, I have postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and even someone with POTS, they're all different levels. And someone else may be in a wheelchair or not be able to get out of bed or have it much more severe than me. And there are other people who have it a lot lighter than me, and they might look at me and be like, wow, you don't do very much for someone who has POTS. I can do a lot more. Or they might look at me and think, wow, she does a lot for having POTS. I can't do that much. It doesn't help to compare ourselves to anyone, especially people who don't live chronically ill, but even people who live chronically ill. So let's instead take what's helpful about comparing ourselves to other people. Like, hey, this person who lives chronically ill built a successful business. I wonder if I could do that too. I wonder if because she did it, I can be like her. Or this person went through a really hard trial and they came out with a smile on their face and they're so positive. I wonder if I can do that with my chronic illness, with my trial, even though it's a different trial than that person. Right? Like, we can use other people's experiences and compare ourselves to their life if it's helpful and it feels good. But most of the time, we're doing it to tear ourselves down and to tell ourselves we're not doing enough and we're not being enough and we're not providing enough value in the world. No, stop it. Compare yourself to the life that you want to live. Compare what you are now to your dream life, to your dream person, which leads us right in to the second thing I think you should stop doing if you live chronically ill. And that is assuming your life would be better if you didn't have chronic illness. I know many of you in the comments on YouTube are going to be freaking out that I said you should not think your life would be better without chronic illness. But I have a secret for you. It wouldn't be better. I know it sounds crazy, okay? I know you're thinking, well, you don't know my life. Yours must not be as bad as mine, or I have this and this going on. Trust me, okay? We think that life would be better without our illness, but we can actually be happy right now, as it is. And even though there are things that would maybe be easier, you would have less pain, maybe you can't work and you'd be able to work, maybe you like to travel and you're not able to travel a lot and you would be able to do that more. Great. You might find joy in that. But guess what? You would find a lot of pain, physically or mentally. I don't know where it'd come from. You'd find a lot of pain from other things in your life. I promise you, because this is what our brains do. They're always looking for problems. They're always looking for something new to focus on. And we think that, okay, if I just took away this pain and this illness, then all of my problems would go away. But I am someone who didn't grow up with chronic illness. Mine started later in life. Mine started, I don't know, maybe I was like 22. I feel like I was around 21, 22 when mine started. And although I had some problems, endometriosis, some migraines, and other things growing up, I didn't have the chronic pain and fatigue that's like all day, every day. I had just a few things I was dealing with. Then, to be honest, most people have some sort of health thing that isn't perfect because we have human bodies. But anyway, growing up, I still found problems in my life. Even in the times where it seems like life should have been the best, where maybe I didn't have a huge trial like chronic illness or family problems or other things that were weighing on me. like, oh, I was in college and I should have enjoyed every single day. No, I still found problems because I have a human brain that still found problems. I was listening to a podcast by Jody Moore, and it was called We Are Addicted to Problems. We're addicted to problems, and it's true. Like, our brains are always searching for problems because I think we were just given this as a God-given gift to help us become better, but we are always searching for something that's wrong that we can fix. And when you're chronically ill, that's the big thing in your face, right? Is chronic illness. And I truly believe that your life wouldn't be better without chronic illness. Even though when you first stopped being chronically ill, you might feel way better. And you might have this huge burst of excitement and joy and energy and be able to feel like you can take on the world. But then I promise, as the months and the years go by, you will start to find issues in your life, and your brain will go back to what it's used to, which is finding problems, being annoyed at things, being stressed about things, being frustrated with things, because now it doesn't have chronic illness to focus on. And other things will always come up. Like, I don't think any of my clients only have chronic illness as their issue. They maybe have relationship problems. Maybe they have someone in their family who's going through something really hard. Maybe they have work problems. Like, there's always something else, right? There's always something on top of just living chronically ill. And I'm not saying that it's easy to live chronically ill, but I'm saying that life in general is hard. And so whether you're chronically ill or not, I genuinely don't think your life would be, quote, better without it in the long run. It might feel like it in the short term, right when it happens, but in the long run, is it really going to? What if instead we chose joy right now? What if instead we chose peace right now? Because guess what? We can feel peace and joy and calm and happiness and comfort right now while living chronically ill. It's possible. And best case scenario, you get healed one day and your illness goes away. I want that for you. I'm not saying I don't want that for you or myself. I do. I do want that for you. However, if you can learn how to be happy with chronic pain and fatigue and illness, then it's going to be a lot easier to be happy with the other hard things that come on in your life, because hard things will always come on, whether you're chronically ill or not. And it just makes a lot more sense to focus right now, today, on how to live the life you want to live versus, well, I'll only be happy when my illness is gone. Like, that is not helpful. Because then if your illness is gone one day, what was the point of going through it? Like, you didn't learn anything. And you didn't become a better person because of it. You then don't know how to deal with harder trials that might come in the future. And if your illness never goes away, then you're just constantly chasing after something that's not going to happen. And whether or not it happens or not, again, I hope more than anything for you that it does, that your illness will go away and you don't have to live with chronic pain anymore. However, if you can live with chronic illness right now and be happy and find peace and joy and comfort, you can live the most amazing life in whatever situation you're in, because you will have learned how to handle something hard. So let's focus on now, today, instead of focusing on what we don't have. Let's focus on what we do have. If you learn how to find the life you want to live exactly as you are right now, then no matter what the future holds, you will have an amazing, happy life. I promise. All right, number 3 thing that I recommend you stop doing if you live chronically ill, and we all do this, and I've talked about it on the podcast before, but it needed to come up again, okay? And that is that we should stop thinking that other people should understand your chronic illness. Why do we think this makes sense? Like, honestly, I don't know why our brains do this. If someone doesn't live chronically ill, why should they understand what it's like to live chronically ill? That doesn't make any sense. Think about the last time you were in extreme pain. I think about when I got this flu recently that I was so sick. I've never been this sick with the flu. It was coming out of all the places and it was so miserable, and I was so sick and in so much pain. I ended up going to the emergency room, and I look back at that and I'm like, oh, did I really need to go to the emergency room? Like, I guess we could have saved money on that if I hadn't have gone. And it's because I'm not in it. I'm not experiencing what it feels like physically. And so it's hard for me, even as myself who went through that, to understand what it felt like at that moment because I'm not actually there. I'm just kind of remembering what I felt emotionally and physically. And I think we think that others should be able to empathize better, but it's really hard because we are just humans and we are very much in our own brain and in our own life. And it's hard to get out of our own head. And honestly, it's hard to think about other people in that way. Even though we have people in our lives who are kind and loving and we want to think about other people that way, we want to be there for people, we want to empathize with people, but like it's literally impossible to feel what someone else is feeling, physically or emotionally. I feel what I'm feeling, and I create this podcast because I'm like, hey, some of the things that I feel, some of the things that I talk to people who feel, this might be helpful. This might be helpful information to them. But then you are in your own life and in your own head, and you're going to take what I say maybe differently than someone else, maybe differently than I intended, right? Like sometimes I say something and in my head, I'm like, oh, this is going to be so helpful. This has helped me so much. I can't believe this concept isn't talked about more. Like this has changed my life. And then I talk about it and people are offended by it. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you would say that chronic illness doesn't control my life. And I'm like, but that thought like brings me so much joy to believe that chronic illness doesn't control my life and I'm in control of my own life. That brings me so much peace. And yet other people, like they're offended by it. They're like, Aimee, I can't believe you would say that. Can't believe you're not validating my feelings. I can't believe this. And in my mind, I'm like, I felt like I was validating your feelings. I felt like I was sharing with you a powerful truth that will change your life. No, I don't know what's going on in their head. I can do my best to put out good content. I can do my best to share what I think will be helpful, but I don't know what's going on in your head right now at this moment, emotionally, physically. I don't know how you're feeling. I am just putting out as much good as I can into the world. And we need to remember that no one else is going to fully get it. No one else is going to. Like when you go to the doctor and your doctor seems to not care, of course, they're not going through this. If they come back to you and say, oh, everything's healthy, you're looking super good, go home and take a bath and you'll feel better, or go get some therapy and you'll feel better, or you'll be fine, just let it pass, right? And you're like, are you kidding me? How are you not taking me seriously? I deal with this all day, every day. And your brain is like stressed out and frustrated that they're not getting it. It's like, of course he's not going to get it. He's not the one living this every day. You are living it every day. Your spouse is not the one living this every day. You are. But you are not noticing what's going on for them, right? Like they are watching you go through this. They have their own problems they're going through. And we need to notice that everybody's kind of in their own heads. And even though they want to be kind and loving, they're not always going to be. And for sure, 100% guarantee they're not going to get it. They're not going to fully understand what it's like for you. So how about instead of relying on someone else and thinking, my spouse should understand, my doctor should understand, my friend, my neighbor, whoever should understand what I'm going through. I've told them this a million times. Instead, be like, I got me. I'm going to be there for me. When my doctor doesn't believe me, I'm going to stand up for myself. And I'm going to say, no, I need you to test me again. No, I need you to send me to a specialist. No, I need you to send me to a different doctor. No, I'm not coming back here again. I'm going to go to someone else because this isn't helping. Like you always have the power to take control for yourself. You really do. So if we stop forcing other people to understand our illness and we take back that we're going to understand our illness and we're going to understand us and we're going to be there for us and we're going to get the help we need, whether it is like, hey, I need to go to a therapist right now because I'm feeling really depressed and overwhelmed. Or, hey, I am feeling really physically sick and I'm having this pain and my doctors aren't believing me. I'm going to go find another doctor. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm going to research myself on the internet. I am going to take charge because someone else is not going to do it. They don't know what it feels like. I think for me, for the first year or so, I was so sick, but in my mind, I'm just like, no, it's fine. It's going to get better. It's normal. This just happens sometimes and then I'll get better and it'll be gone. And nobody else came to me and said, Aimee, you need to get to the doctor. Aimee, you need to try this. I had to be the one to do it. Now, sometimes people might say that, but we cannot rely on them to do that because we have got to take care of ourselves. We need to stop assuming that someone else is going to do it and that someone else is going to take control of our lives and is going to understand what's going on inside of us. Because you have your brain, I have my brain. I'm going to take care of me and my brain. You take care of you and your brain. We're going to use the resources and everything out there we can find, right? Listen to the podcast. That's why I create this, because hopefully it helps you. Hopefully you find a nugget of information, something that helps you in each episode. But if not, you need to find someone else who's making a podcast that is more helpful to you, that makes more sense to you, that clicks with you more. You need to go talk to a friend who clicks with you more. You need to find a YouTube video. You need to go to a therapist. Like, find what works for you and take care of you. And stop thinking that someone else is going to do it, right? When we take care of ourselves and realize no one else is going to understand our illness, I'm going to understand it. I'm going to understand me. I am going to assume that my life is going to be amazing, whether I'm chronically ill or not. I am going to stop comparing myself to people who are not chronically ill. And in fact, I'm going to stop comparing myself to anybody, whether they're chronically ill or not. When we stop doing those three things, we will see so much heaviness lifted from our shoulders. I promise you that, because it's something I've been working on. All three of these, I've been working on them. And let me tell you, it is so much lighter. It's like a weight has been lifted from my shoulders when I realize I don't need to be like anybody else who's not chronically ill or who is chronically ill. I don't need to have my illness go away in order to feel joy in this life. And I don't need anybody else to understand my illness except for me, because I'm going to be there for me. I'm going to step up for myself, and you can too. All right, my friend, I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you on the next episode. Hey friend, do you find value in this podcast but want to take it to the next level? Work with me one-on-one or check out Chronically Me, the course and workbook. This course takes the things you are learning on the podcast and helps you apply them directly to your life. This course dives deeper into changing your thinking, teaching you how the brain works and how to maximize your life with chronic illness. I designed this course as a companion to the podcast. The podcast gives specific, real-world examples, and the course helps you put them into action. If you want personalized one-on-one help from me, I got you. I also offer individual coaching programs where we can talk about the problems you are facing. I'll help you manage your brain and find solutions to nearly every problem that you have. We will walk hand in hand on this journey together. Check the show notes or the video description on YouTube for more information on getting extra help from me. Talk to you soon.